The pigeonholing of like, you're a jazz drummer, you're a rock drummer, I never agreed with that. We're just drummers. People are like, oh, you're supposed to play jazz a certain way, or you're supposed to play rock a certain way. Says who? The biggest thing is be authentic and be yourself, and don't be afraid to be you. Play what you want to play.
Yeah. Nice job, dude. Now, there's probably some of you out there who are going to be pretty surprised because from what you remember last time, you're pretty much only doing jazz stuff. And as of yesterday, Greyson is the new drummer for Suicidal Tendencies.
Yes.
Huge congrats, man.
Thank you.
Crazy,
Thank you.
like seeing you go from all the social media stuff to doing some tours, playing with some artists, and now you're with like a huge band. So,
Yeah. Shout out to Mike who's watching.
Yeah.
And I think the rest of the crew are watching. So Corey,
Nice,
Mike,
dude.
Brendan, everybody.
Awesome. For those of you who don't know, Greyson Nekrutman is back at Drumeo. You were out for the first time, I think it was last January.
Yeah.
And doing some stuff for all of our Drumeo students. And in the time since that, you've had Drumeo videos blow up, your Caravan performance, a bunch of others on the YouTube channel. You've been doing clinics and masterclasses all over the world. You've been playing with DJ Premier's Batter Band, William Duvall, Billy Howardle, Danny Lohner, Brady Watt, and the list goes on. Busy year, for sure.
Yes, very.
Which is awesome. And I guess for all of you who are wondering where you can go see Greyson play, when are you playing festivals? When's the tour?
So the first show with Suicidal Tendencies is May 18th at Welcome to Rockville in Daytona.
Nice.
And then we're playing the 25th, May 25th, Sonic Temple with Tool in Columbus, Ohio.
Nice.
Milwaukee Metal Fest, and then Punk Rock Bowling Las Vegas.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, so go check him out on the road, and yeah, it's crazy. Seeing you like from the screen to, how big is that audience that you're playing for your first show?
I think it's 100 and something thousand. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Welcome to Rockville is like, I don't even know how many. It's ridiculous.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And lastly, we do this kind of stuff inside of Drumeo all the time with our students, our community of coaches, and we have tons of stuff up on the site. Drumless songs, transcriptions for over 5,000 different songs, a method that's going to teach you how to play drums. And of course, we bring out amazing drummers just like Greyson all the time and film some cool stuff for the YouTube channel and for our members. So if you want to check that out, you can get a 7-day free trial over at drumeo.com/trial. Well, we're going to be talking about versatility because you're like the perfect person to talk about this with your career and how it's been going over the last year. You're going to be playing some music that you've been playing, some stuff you've done some social clips on, but you haven't done full performances of. I guess let's dive in and let's start with another track. This is from Brady Watt.
Yes, shout out to Brady.
How did you get connected with him? What's the story behind that?
Very long story short, Brady reached out on Instagram. We became social media friends. And then very, very, very short notice, he's like, hey, are you free in January for something in New York and Paris? Nice. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, let me reach out in a few weeks. And then something happened. I never heard from him. I was like, oh, whatever, great, play together. One day, he hits me back and he's like, hey, I got somebody to call, somebody wants to call you.
Yeah.
And it was DJ Premier.
Jeez.
And he's like, you gotta learn X amount of songs in like 3 weeks. We're going to Paris, the Paris Fashion Week for Amiri. I was like, wait, I have to learn all these? Wait, what? I was like, I can do it, fine.
Yeah.
So that's how I met Brady. And then we sold out the Blue Note, what was that, maybe a month or so ago?
And that was your first time playing
with
Blue
Brady by him. Oh yeah, first time playing
Nice.
Blue Note. Sold out 2 sets. It's crazy.
Note? Awesome, dude.
Yeah.
So this track is called Murder Hornet.
Flight of the Murder Hornet.
Flight of the Murder
Yeah, it's
Hornet.
Carlos Holmes on keys, Brady Watt on bass, and Lenny on drums. Lenny Ox was on drums originally.
And you played this at that gig?
Yeah, the Blue Note. Yeah,
Nice.
that was great. That was the first time playing it live. Yeah, first time playing it live.
Awesome, man. Well, let's load this up and then we'll jump into some other stuff after. Nice, man. What a tune.
That was fun. I always love that tune. Shout out to Brady again.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, even from the last time you were out, I can see a lot of the stuff that even you were doing a lot, I mean, coming from swing playing, coming from all these big band guys, you can see how it translates, and we'll talk about this in versatility, but you can see how that translates into different contexts.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of that vocabulary just changing where and how you use it. So I guess to start off, like, what are your thoughts around versatility? I think a lot of people out there have seen the shift that you've made in the last little bit. So like, what's your thought process behind that? Was that conscious? Was that just because of the opportunities that were coming up?
It's a combination. I started playing everything other than jazz when I was really young.
Yeah.
So I started playing at 4, and I don't know if my teacher's watching, but Justin Galley was my first teacher. I mentioned last time.
Yeah.
And he gave me a great foundation of every style of music. Also, shout out to my mother, who I know is watching for a fact. Hi, Mom.
Of course.
She as well gave me a great foundation of all different styles of music. So whether it was Carter Beauford, my first drum idol, still my #1, or listening to Creed or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Whatever band, genre, I always try to take something from it. And once I got heavy into the jazz stuff, I was still actually listening to everything else, but my playing was only jazz focused. So then in the past, I would say like 2 years or so, I've been trying to meld the two of, hey, I'm going on a run, I'm gonna listen to this music, and take stuff from the music I'm listening to when I'm in the car or I'm running or whatever, and those drummers combined with all the jazz stuff. And then I found Ginger Baker and Mitch Mitchell and those guys who, they actually combined them really well, and that was their thing.
Totally.
I said, that's what I want to do.
Nice.
So that's the thought process behind it.
And do you think, like, in your experience, have you had a lot of pushback, people who are confused about that? Not that it matters, but
1000%.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people, the pigeonholing of like, you're a jazz drummer, you're a rock drummer, I never agreed with that.
Yeah.
We're just drummers. I really believed that. And the same thing with people who are like, oh, you're supposed to play jazz a certain way. Says who? Or you're supposed to play rock a certain way. Says who? You know, so it was the kind of thing, if everybody's gonna play every style, whatever the way they want to play that style, and put their own voice to it and put their own playing, you know, to that style, of course with respect.
Yeah.
But I don't see anything wrong with combining the two. And if it's, you know, your rock's a little too jazzy for some rock guys, or your jazz a little too heavy for some jazz, you know, whatever. But I think be true to yourself and play what you want to play.
Yeah, that's cool. You mentioned that that one show you're playing with Tool, or on the same bill as Tool.
Yeah.
And I always love, because Danny Carey has the same approach, right? He's playing with Tool, but he's playing at the baked potato with his groups and stuff, and that's what he loves to play.
Exactly. I think it's a really nice combination. And actually, speaking of that Brady gig, that was an amazing experience, because one of the songs we played actually had Brad Wilk on drums. Shout out to Brad.
Oh, nice.
Too. So it was like, oh, I'm playing, you know, this jazz fusion tune, and then the next tune is a straight up rock song. And I was like, yeah, Brady. Like, me and Brady on the same vibe on that one of combining everything.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about the DJ Premier Batter Band you played with.
Yep.
But you also, in the last year, you were on tour with Billy.
Yeah.
Wordle. So what was that like? How did that come to be? What was it like? I think that was your first kind of like big tour.
Yeah, that was my first like tour bus tour, like real tour. Insane. Billy Howardell, Danny Lohner, Nilo Landis on keys, Elliot Larango on bass. Shout out to my tech, Eric Fuller, you might be watching. That was an amazing family to be a part of. And we're still really super close. And I learned a lot from that. You realize a lot of it is not the playing, it's everything else other than the playing. That's tough and that's fun, you know. The playing's one thing, and the music was, you know, relatively easy to learn the parts.
Yeah.
But to play it in a context every single night and consistency from night to night was like, that's the lesson in that. That's the thing I had to learn really quickly of like, oh, interesting. And also not necessarily having a million rehearsals to get it down either. Because when the machine is that big of a moving thing, it's not like a band, you know, the band can just rehearse and go play a show in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You have a crew like that and you have logistics. It's like your rehearsal time is precious and then you don't have a lot of it because there's a tight schedule.
Yeah.
So you better have your stuff down before you get there, kind of thing.
So how did your practice schedule, even before you left for tour, how did that change compared to you're just filming videos at home, waiting for that next opportunity, to now you have a set you have to learn? What did that look like?
Well, I'll tell you first, I'll say it like this. I'll tell you like this experience. Got the Suicidal gig under the radar, of course, maybe 2 weeks ago, whatever, 2.5 weeks ago. And everybody here knows this, so this is not funny to some people, but it's funny to me. I was like, you know what, the Drumeo stuff, I'll learn in a little bit. I need to dig in. So it was like that. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try to film a video, grind my butt off on these Suicidal songs. And then like 3 days ago, I was like, you know what, I should probably practice the Drumeo stuff.
I'm glad I'm hearing this now.
That it's all done too.
Yeah, we're good.
Well, I couldn't practice for the torture you put me through. Why don't you tell the people what you did?
No, they'll see what's coming. Just you wait.
Brandon tortured me. I was very mad at Brandon yesterday and today, and he was in that control room, and me and him were just
having a great time,
battling it out. He's like, it's okay. It's my counselor.
Yeah, it's great. So that all shifted where all focus goes towards, I guess for the Billy tour, that was like first and foremost.
I was talking to actually my mom about this a few weeks ago. I was like, for me, I learned I can in no way do efficiently. I have to learn this. I'm gonna do a little bit each day of each.
Yeah.
I try to, if this is the next gig, I'm gonna laser pinpoint focus and get all that done. Even if it's 3 weeks away and I get it done this week, those 2 weeks I can practice a little bit, but mainly have it completely down.
Yeah, you've done the
exactly
work already.
So for even the Billy thing, I shut down everything and I said, I'm just gonna learn all the songs over and over and over. Yeah, I tried to record videos, but really I was just focused on playing the songs because I knew that was, the videos, it's like, it's great to make them, but I don't have to make them.
Yeah, and you think about probably you started doing them because hopefully something would happen down the road and then something actually happens.
Exactly.
I think a lot of people probably get hung up on that where the focus becomes, I guess it depends on the person and what your goals are and
absolutely.
stuff. But for you, I know you wanted that gig or that opportunity and it happened.
And I'll never throw it away. I mean, it's so powerful, but I just shifted towards more, I want to post where I'm going and post, vlogs and not only drum covers.
Yeah.
And, the videos are like a resume.
Totally.
Somebody wants to, can he play this? Scrolls down, finds a video of that style. Oh, he actually can. So I viewed it as that of, here's my living, walking resume that's always changing and always updating.
Yeah.
Instead of just post videos to get views. I mean, they get views too, but really the thing was, if a boss, or dorm manager, whatever it is, music director or musician is gonna find me.
Yeah, your bases
and
are
see
covered.
that, then it's kind of like handing them a resume, but not in their face.
Have you talked with Billy or Mike from Suicidal, and have they said anything about, oh, we saw your
Mike
big
straight
band
up.
videos?
Mike straight up was honest, and he loved it, and it was awesome. Cool. Because at the same time, I'm always like, I can also play this. Actually, DJ Premier was one really funny one. So he, I hadn't obviously posted much hip hop, but he saw one video of me playing Dougie Fresh. I forgot which tune it was, and I did this little. In between. And every time he sees me or when he met my mom, he's like, when your son did that one thing, that's like his favorite thing ever.
That's crazy.
Is that little trick. And I'm like, you know what? That goes to show these people really do watch and these videos really do matter.
Yeah.
And things that you wouldn't think matter, here's like the #1 hip hop producer in the world watching that and seeing it. And it's like,
so
wow, that made an impact.
Yeah, lesson learned, if you study Buddy Rich and all those guys, you never know what can happen.
I don't know about that, but yeah.
No, that's cool. And even like you said, when you're going running, you're listening to Creed and Dave Matthews.
Yeah, it's something completely different.
Your potential future bosses probably aren't listening to their own music. They're listening to everything else. So, yeah, I think that's puts everything into perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
And did you find, like, you mentioned just like laser focused, running the set over and over. Was there anything else different you did to get into like tour mindset in terms of like endurance and stamina when you're playing like a 2 or 3 hour show? Anything you had to work on to get set up for that?
Well, for the Howardell thing, not so much. For me, it was really learning how to, as stupid as it sounds, but it's something to be said, learning how to pack right.
Yeah.
Learning how to not overpack, which I did. Bad mistake.
Lesson learned.
Yeah, Eric just helping me, obviously he, thankfully, my tech and set everything up, but just learning kind of like, at least I want to know what he's doing and how he's thinking about putting the drum set together every night so it's consistent. So in the future, if I need to either train somebody to be a tech or, I don't know, tech myself, whatever, then I know a little bit about that. So it was more about just the lifestyle and learning, how to live on a tour bus and things like that. For the Suicidal gig, a lot of it is like, I'm sitting in my basement practicing double bass and just like going crazy and running and staying in shape. Because for that, it's a workout. As you could tell from the first song, it's like, and to do that for however long, 45 minutes, an hour. Yeah. Workout.
I'm so curious. So you get the gig, Suicidal Tendencies. You haven't played a show yet. Like, what's going through your mind? Are you
right now?
Yeah.
No.
I think like the scale of this is so much different from anything else. And like, honestly, are you nervous for it? Do you know that it's going to be prepped, so you're going to get to the first gig and it's, you're going to crush it? I'm sure you will.
Well, it's like, when I got it, of course, there's like moments of like, oh my God, that. But it's something I've worked so hard for so long. And to finally get it, I was like, hell freaking yeah, I got this. Like, I earned it, and yeah, I'm gonna work hard for it.
Yeah.
And I told Mike, you know, I'm gonna learn the music. No hesitation at all.
Yeah.
You know, the one challenge that, you know, he didn't pose it as like it's gonna be a challenge, but he just mentioned out there is, unlike some other situations you might walk into, I'm learning for one festival, it's one set from the album, top to bottom. And then the rest of the festivals all have the same set, but those sets are hits from different albums, and you know. So he's like, just a heads up, and I said, no problem, I have it done.
Yeah.
There's no, you know, I'm not giving myself an option. You know, it's like when I trained to do a marathon, there wasn't, oh, I hope, no, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. Yeah, the second you start thinking about, oh, maybe I'll do it, you've already lost.
No, and I've worked so hard for it, and I'm confident in myself and my ability of, I'm gonna learn it. I don't care what it takes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it. It's fine. We'll be done. If you get so caught up in oh my God, it's such a big crowd, like, of course you'll freak yourself out.
Yeah.
But you can't do that. It's just not gonna help anything.
Yeah. So with the DJ Premier stuff, you mentioned you hadn't really done a lot of hip hop stuff. You hadn't done a lot of hip hop videos. Were you surprised by that, or were you even more nervous for that because that was more outside your comfort zone?
Surprised to get it, you mean?
Yeah, I assume that was
initially, yes.
Yeah.
And then meeting Premier and getting to know him, no, based on the music he likes. He loves Rush. He loves Neil Peart. He loves all these drummers, and he loves drummers in general.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, the most nerve-wracking thing for that gig, I'll be honest with you, was I had a moment of like, I'm learning these very specific grooves that are not technically hard at all.
Yeah.
They're like not hard at all. It's bass drum, snare drum, hi-hat, really.
Can you play us one?
Maybe in a second.
Yeah.
But as an example, the idea that, oh, this man made these beats. It's like, I don't know, a guitarist trying to play Foxy Lady in front of Jimi Hendrix. Like he made that.
Yeah.
So I went in there and I was, you know, a little nervous because I was like, you know, I wonder if my bass drums are gonna like, you know, line up. He loved it, he dug it right away.
Nice.
But he also allowed me to have a little bit of wiggle room of opening it up, and there was like a little bit of grooving with Brady and everybody in the band. So that put my mind at ease. But he, you know, I think the biggest thing is the vibe of the person. The vibe of the person. If the person you're working with is, you know, intimidating, and you know, you have to deal with it. But if they're warm and everybody's gonna have an expectation. I don't think you should just go in there and be like, oh, whatever I do is gonna be perfect. No, it's a job. You have to do what is required of the job. But at the same time, from the other's perspective, when you go in there and it is a warm and welcoming environment, musically or personally, it puts all those worries really at ease.
Especially walking in there as like the new guy.
Yeah.
That probably makes everything feel so
exactly,
much.
because there's been times where you walk in as the new guy and you're just lower because you're younger.
Yeah.
Not you're lower because you haven't had more opportunities. You're the new guy, you know? And you feel, and it might not actually be that way, but if people are giving off that vibe, you feel that really easily and really quickly, at least I do. I don't know if you've experienced, because we're relatively close in age.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. You walk into a room with a lot of older musicians who've been doing what they've been doing for twice your life.
Yep, exactly.
So what, you wanna play some grooves? Like what kind of stuff would you do on that gig with DJ Premier?
I mean, it was all, first day I walked in there, Brady was like, that. The key, not. So for me, it was actually learning the movement itself. For the consistency. Because that's all it was. But when he programmed them on a drum machine, he goes, do. So it had to be, plus we were on, he was scratching the actual tracks, he was running the tracks. So I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, you gotta be.
Like that was Platinum Plus. So that, awesome. Just that, like, keep going, that momentum, that was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Plus, we were doing it for the runway show for Amiri.
And how long was that?
I think it was only 13 minutes. A really odd number.
The same song though?
No. So it was a medley of like 6 maybe songs, 7.
Okay.
All produced by Premier from different artists, whether it was Gangstar Songs or Nas or whoever.
Yeah.
And then we did a 30-something song after party set,
Holy.
which were like, it would be like a minute of each one. Or
Yeah.
it was crazy.
So was that prepped or was that just him calling out stuff?
No,
as you
I
go?
learned them all. But it
Okay.
was really weird because I had to learn each one like 90% of the song, but we would only play
A minute.
like, yeah. Or it would some were longer, some were shorter, some were just like an interlude between.
Yeah.
But I was like, that was, if anything, that was the toughest because some of the feels were so different.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, everything you can imagine from his catalog. On Spotify, there's a whole Batter Band Mike Amiri after party set, and that whole set,
Nice.
that playlist is what we played, and it was wild.
Sweet, man. Well, let's jump into another track. You asked to play a Cream song. Like one
Not
of
just
the,
any Cream song.
One of like the drummer staple recordings, Toad, Ginger Baker.
You want to know why I picked this one?
I want to know why you picked
Because I always wanted to play it, and when I was younger, I tried to do videos of it. But because of the, I'm sorry, terrible quality of all those YouTube videos of him playing, unfortunately,
Yeah.
and also just his playing, it was too much to nitpick every single time because he's all over the place
Yeah.
in certain points.
It's a
So I was
jazz
like,
drummer.
Exactly. I'm like, I'm just gonna have to wait to like play a drumless and do it myself one day.
Yeah.
And finally, I had the opportunity. I was like, yeah. I think
Yeah.
it was you or Aaron sent it.
It's
I said,
time.
I said, yes, I'm doing that. Yes.
Yeah.
Like there was no hesitation. Instantly.
And I think I saw a video you posted maybe a month ago
Of this?
of Toad.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Some
so,
point.
Yeah, you're all in for a treat on this one.
Yeah.
So,
Well, this isn't just the song.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Nice job, man. There's definitely some Ginger Baker isms in there. Double bass going. Never thought I'd see the day.
For me?
Greyson Nekrutman, double bass on Drumeo.
By now, I hope so.
I love it. I know.
Hope so.
You've got, what, a month to prep?
Yeah, less than that now.
How you feeling?
Good. How are you, Brandon?
I'm doing great. I'm a little bit less sweaty. I'm just enjoying watching.
You feeling the heat come off?
I'm feeling the heat. It's getting warm in the room.
Guys, we
too.
made a video yesterday, and I was sweating, and it looked like I was like smoking, didn't it?
Greyson did a video on, it's a little bit of a spoiler, but an impossible song medley of sorts.
I literally looked like I was outgassing, like I was
Yeah.
like on fire
Strobes start
because it was
happening.
the sweat, and I was literally like steaming. It was hilarious.
Yeah, stay tuned for that. You're in for a treat. Let's talk a little bit more about social media and stuff. So
Yeah.
I know we've talked about this in depth. You've talked a lot about this on your channels and stuff too, but now that you've had some gigs, you've had some tours, obviously because of your online resume, is there anything that you look at differently in terms of social media, or things that you wish you did differently, or things that actually helped you a lot that kind of you were validated by when you saw all this happen?
Getting the gigs and working harder and all this stuff, it kind of showed me that, oh, this is real.
Yeah.
That if you treat it the way I've been trying to treat it, if you treat it as sort of a business and a resume, it can have a lot more impact than you realize. And the other thing I realized is, somebody told me this and it really made sense, was somebody very important, they're like, oh, this other person who's very important watched your video. I said, what? They don't follow me. You don't know who's watching. You have no clue who's watching. Really. They might not like, they might not comment, they might not follow you, but they're watching.
It's showing up somewhere.
It's showing up, or they're looking and you don't know they're looking. But that showed me, this will help if you do it right. It can also hurt you if you do it wrong. Things I could have done differently. Maybe, I was gonna say maybe branch out styles earlier, but I don't know. Because I feel like when I tried to earlier on mix different styles on my page, people were like, no, we just want to see yada yada. You know, it was like there was no benefit really until I got everybody on my side from the jazz stuff. And then I'm like, hey, team, follow me to this
go over here.
follow me to the dark side. You know, follow me over here. And then, you know, most of them have. Some have been like, we don't like them anymore. But, you know, you'll lose them along the way.
Oh, yeah.
I think the biggest thing is, if you're a legitimate, genuinely nice person in real life, then I would say show that on social, you know, like really be as real as you can. Because the supporters, I had one gentleman, he's probably watching, his name was Jim. He followed me since I was like, I don't even know, early teenage years.
Yeah.
Came to my clinic in Portsmouth, took a lesson, just a genuinely nice, awesome guy.
Yeah.
If I, you know, I'm not gonna say if I was like a jerk on camera, but you know, if I just didn't support, you know, and didn't acknowledge the people who support me, that wouldn't happen. They wouldn't care.
Those are the people coming to shows and buying merch and all that stuff. So
buying your t-shirt, buying your sticks, it meant a lot of like, oh, this is real. This isn't just a name on a screen.
Yeah.
There's people like that, but I think the biggest thing is realizing that it is massively powerful. It is so important. And I think there's a lot of, especially older generations, that kind of want to look down on it and kind of like, you know, it's not as hard work. Trust me, it's hard work. But it's just, I think you should accept everybody if they're nice and they're genuine and they're working hard, and that's it.
Yeah, I think one of the things I've loved about your channel, even since last year when you're out, and knowing what kind of music you like to listen to, apart from filming videos and stuff, is when I see you post a video and it's like 9 Inch Nails or it's Creed or something like that. I've never looked at it as, oh, you're trying to like get gigs with these bands. It's like, oh, Greyson's playing music that he was probably listening to while he was training last night.
Exactly.
Or something. So being able to see through kind of like the cracks of what some people might think. I've always loved that about your channels. It feels authentic.
Yeah, I mean, there's people out there who want to kind of use it as like butter up everybody.
Yeah.
They follow everybody and they do this and they that, and they're just doing songs to get gigs.
Yeah.
That was never my thing. Like I never wanted to use it as like, yeah, hey, you know, hey, how are you? How are you?
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not me.
I want that.
I want, hey. No, I think if you're authentic and you do it right and you're nice and you show that you're working hard, that's like the biggest thing. Is I think some people want to, it sounds crazy. Some people seem like they want to hide the fact that they're working hard, that it comes easy to them.
Yeah.
You know, they want to, as dumb as it sounds, they want to not look sweaty in the videos and they want to, like, if I'm working hard, I'm going to show you I'm working hard. Yeah, like I don't see any, I don't think you should act like it's perfect or that you're perfect, because when it comes to real life, that's all gonna go away.
Your sticks are gonna click.
But it's also like, if it takes you I don't know, 5 days to make a video of that song, and then you came here or you came somewhere else, and you had this persona of being like perfect.
Yeah.
It's all gonna go away. Because are you gonna actually play the gig at Rockville, or are you just gonna, you know, edit videos and things like that? So I think it's the biggest thing is be authentic and be yourself, and don't be afraid to be you.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
And would you recommend for younger drummers or anyone who's putting themselves out there, would you recommend going the versatility route and showing, if you actually do love all kinds of music, showing all those different avenues, or would you recommend that, like, the specialty route and like owning one thing?
I think it's up to each individual drummer in person. I was very upfront and honest with many people. I told you, Drumeo, right to his face, I said, this is not my like home.
Yeah.
I want to learn from you, but you know, I hope you don't think I'm like a hip hop pro drummer. Like, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to bring my skills up to being able to play with you. That's the versatility thing of like, I posted many styles, and I always have, because I genuinely love those. But there are still styles I'm not gonna, I had an opportunity to make some sort of genre for a certain company I was making videos for.
Yeah.
And they sent me one of the tracks, and I said, I would love to do it, but can we do a jazz? This was like maybe 3 years ago. And I said, because it's not authentic.
Yeah.
People are gonna know that I'm just trying to play like that kind of drummer.
Yeah.
You know, it was like more like gospel choppy kind of track. And I was like, yeah, I can do it, but it's gonna be very obvious that this is not my forte. And of course I could do it, but it's not authentic. It's me kind of faking my way through it. And that's not for me.
Yeah.
And I think being honest with everybody, and if you are really only a jazz drummer who plays jazz, then post only jazz. But if you play everything, play everything, post it, and I see no problem with that.
Yeah, and I think it's cool too, like these artists like DJ Premier or Mike in Suicidal Tendencies, like the fact that they're even willing to take the chance on a younger drummer who's
1000%.
You know, coming up, and it's willing to have that age gap in the band and have the young blood.
That's not a small thing to be, you know, pushed aside. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it's huge.
And the fact that, you know, it goes to show a lot of maturity on these people's parts and a lot of experience on these people's parts, because they also, some individuals that you're listing have mentioned, like, even though it's jazz, they can see how intense I play.
Yeah, exactly.
So that means, hey, instead of playing, he's gonna play.
Yeah.
But it's the same intensity, because they already saw that I have that intensity for jazz and big band.
Yeah.
Who says I can't play a blast beat now, or a flash beat, or a punk beat, whatever it is. And then the ability for these artists to recognize that is what I commend, because there's easily artists who could be like, oh, he only plays jazz and write you off. But these people like William Duvall was the perfect example.
Yeah.
Where he contacted me for this record we did, and at that point I really was only posting jazz. He was one of the first, you know, major gigs for me, if not the first. And I'll always give William full credit for basically giving me the opportunity that he gave me. It was kind of in between, because he definitely wanted somebody who was jazz influenced.
Yeah.
But it was a rock gig. But he said, I have a feeling you can do it. And that knowledge of he has confidence in me was like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
And that meant a lot.
Yeah, you probably just have instant respect for him at that point.
Absolutely.
You know, and
I was like,
makes you want to do better on the gig.
Yeah, I said,
work
you know
harder.
what? Like, if it was like, I don't know if you can do it, but here's the music, I'd kind of be like, I would still like want it. But I think it'd be a little bit more prove you wrong attitude, which is different. This was more of like, he's supporting me, let me support him back by giving it my best effort. That's like Mike, for me.
Yeah.
You know, because it's Mike never came at it as, I don't think you could do, you know, like, maybe you can do it. No, it was, you can do it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do it, and we're gonna sound great on stage together.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make the band sound great. And John Tempesta, who's watching, I was talking to him, and he was talking about, dude, like, this is your moment to shine.
Yeah.
You're driving that bus back there on that band at Rockville, at Sonic Temple. You're it, and this is your moment. You've always worked for it. I'm not gonna let anything get in my way of that anymore.
Yeah, totally.
So,
I love that, man.
Yeah.
Lots of like great takeaways in there, and I know we always tell our students at Drumeo too, like, even if you're just starting out and you're playing rock or something, like, don't be afraid to try some funk or try some jazz.
No.
It's gonna make you think about music differently. It's gonna maybe spark an interest in something, or a band or something that you had no idea that you'd be into. So yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Like, even with Suicidal, like, the biggest thing for me that's kept me interested, because there's also a point where I'm sure you can agree, like, if you learn like some old jazz standard, you might be like a little bored. You know, like, There's certain things that about the band that really interested me is they've had so many amazing drummers with all such distinct styles. But some of them have been influenced by jazz and rock and every other style. But then getting the opportunity to play, you know, like Cyco Vision, like I just did, that was Brooks Wackerman. Shout out to Brooks.
Yeah.
One of my absolute all-time favorites.
Legend.
But like him versus Jimmy DeGrasso versus whoever played in the band, Brandon, they all had their own spin on it. And it's amazing. And now it's my turn to put a little bit of the spin, but also respecting the original parts. That's the most important part.
Nice. Grayson, any like final words before we do a last track?
Is there any questions? Can I do that? Is that breaking the rules, guys?
No,
Can I answer
actually,
a question?
I saw one from a Drumeo student that came in earlier. This is a great one. This is from Andrew Scott. Do you massively change your kit depending on the gig, or do you like to keep the same basic structure? That's
Same
a great
basic
one.
structure, different cymbals, different heights of stuff, but the drums stay the same. So right now it's 13, 16, 18. Usually it's, or 12 or 13, 14 or 16, and then 16 or 18.
Yeah.
Whatever bass drum, 22, 24, 29, doesn't really matter. And then, especially for the Suicidal gig, it was just heavier crashes and then a heavier ride. So I'm using all pure alloy at home.
Nice.
You know, so that's new to me. And then obviously, I've been keeping the double pedal on the kit more often, but this obviously I was like, okay, now I have to actually
commit.
Yeah, now I have to actually commit to it.
It's a thing now.
Yep, it's a thing.
That's awesome. Let's do one more. This is from Stidger. Any tips for cleaning up double pedal playing? From someone who's going through it right now.
So when I got the gig, the first person I hit up was Adam Gray in Texas in July. And I said, what do you do? Him and John Tempesta gave me both great tips. Were basically literally just bringing the BPM up. That stuff, like all that kind of stuff. My biggest thing was keeping the foot up, keeping the heel up, bouncing it, instead of, you know, because even the Deidre Premier stuff. So I'm not gonna play double bass for that.
Yeah.
So basically, it was just the endurance of keeping my legs up, and I've been experimenting with where I sit too, closer and farther. And Brandon, guys, oh my God, I don't know how he does it. It's amazing. He puts his seat way farther back and sits at the edge of the throne. So I'm gonna actually try that. Shout out to Brandon for that. When I get home, it's like
See
this.
if it works.
It's like. Look how further back I'm sitting.
Yeah.
So I usually sit like this.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna experiment when I get home.
Nice.
But yeah, nothing really crazy, just rudiments and normal stickings and just building it up. Also, what I found is warming my body up, like going for a walk, just to get my legs going. That's what I've been doing.
Yeah. Well, at least you're playing in the evenings, I assume. So.
Except hot festivals.
Yeah, true.
It's gonna be hot.
There's no AC out there.
No.
Dude, thank you so much for coming back.
Thanks for having me.
Always great to have you.
Always fun.
We're gonna catch up when you're done this next few run of festivals. Hopefully
Yeah, you
in the
want to
winter.
announce that I'm coming back?
Yeah, right. we'll find a date, but yeah, Grayson, you're always welcome. And thank you all for hanging out with us. Make sure you check out what we're up to here on Drumeo. And I guess we're gonna close out with a song called Havona by Weather
Shout
Report.
out to William Duvall if he's watching. This is one of his all-time favorites. So
Awesome, man.
same with Brady. Brady loves this one too. And even if Carlos is watching, one of Carlos's favorites too.
Cool. Well, the floor is yours. Go as long as you want. And yeah, dude. Take it away.